It's become a typical day in Colombia. 3 more judges have quit their jobs after being threatened by the murderous drug cartels.
The Colombian drug barons, thought to be fleeing their government's crackdown, have made their presence felt with startling ferocity.
Colombia's drug lords responded today to the government's new Get Tough policy. They declared war on the government and launched a series of attacks that killed 1 person.
From a feared cartel enforcer who betrayed his organization to a high-ranking security chief who risked it all, here are some of the individuals who dared to cooperate with authorities and later faced the consequences. La Barbie. Edgar Valdez Villarreal, known as La Barbie, was born on August 11, 1973, in Laredo, Texas. He earned his nickname due to his fair complexion and light-colored eyes, resembling the Ken doll from the Barbie toy line. Valdez was a popular student and football player at United High School in Laredo, but he became involved in drug dealing during his teenage years, selling marijuana locally. In the late 1990s, facing increased law enforcement pressure in the United States, Valdez fled to Mexico. There, he became associated with the Beltran-Leyva cartel, a powerful criminal organization involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and violent enforcement. Valdez quickly rose through the cartel's ranks, becoming a top lieutenant and leading a group of hitmen known as Los Negros. His operations were marked by extreme violence, including kidnappings, torture, and executions, which he often recorded and distributed to intimidate rivals and authorities. Between 2008 and 2010, Valdez reportedly provided information to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. Despite this cooperation, he continued his criminal activities. In 2010, following the death of cartel leader Arturo Beltran-Leyva, a violent power struggle ensued, with Valdez vying for control. This infighting drew significant attention from Mexican law enforcement. On August 30, 2010, Valdez was arrested by Mexican federal police near Mexico City. In 2015, he was extradited to the United States to face charges including drug trafficking and money laundering. In January 2016, Valdez pleaded guilty to these charges. In June 2018, he was sentenced to 49 years and 1 month in federal prison and ordered to forfeit $192 million. Jorge Salcedo Cabrera. Jorge Salcedo Cabrera, born in 1947 in Bogotá, Colombia, was a civil engineer and counter-surveillance specialist. In the 1980s, he was recruited by the Cali Cartel, one of the most powerful drug trafficking organizations in Colombia, to serve as their head of security. Salcedo's expertise in surveillance and intelligence was instrumental in protecting the cartel's leaders and operations. But over time, he became disillusioned with the cartel's violent methods and sought a way out. In 1995, Salcedo made contact with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, and offered his assistance in dismantling the Cali cartel. His insider knowledge was invaluable, leading to the arrest of key cartel leaders, including the Orejuela brothers. Following his cooperation, Salcedo entered the U.S. Federal Witness Protection Program to ensure his safety. His story was later depicted in the television series Narcos, bringing his experiences to a wider audience. Barry Seal. Barry Seal was an American pilot born on July 16, 1939, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Seal was known for his exceptional flying skills, which he initially used as a pilot for Trans World Airlines. But after being dismissed from TWA due to his involvement in illegal activities, Seal transitioned into the world of drug smuggling. By the late 1970s, he had become a key asset for the Medellin cartel, flying cocaine shipments into the United States. Seal's expertise and daring made him one of the cartel's most valuable smugglers, with his flights reportedly delivering thousands of kilograms of cocaine. In 1983, Seal was arrested in Florida on smuggling charges. Facing a lengthy prison sentence, he agreed to become an informant for the Drug Enforcement Administration. As an informant, Seal played a critical role in exposing the inner workings of the Medellin cartel. His cooperation led to the arrest and prosecution of several high-ranking cartel members. He also provided evidence linking the cartel to the Nicaraguan Contras, further complicating U.S. foreign policy at the time. Despite his cooperation, Seal continued his dangerous lifestyle. In 1986, he was assassinated in Baton Rouge by hitmen allegedly hired by the cartel. The murder occurred outside a halfway house where Seal had been ordered to stay as part of his sentence. Juan Guerrero Chapa. Juan Jesus Guerrero Chapa was a lawyer born in Mexico who served as a legal advisor for the Gulf Cartel. For many years, Guerrero Chapa was trusted to handle the cartel's financial and legal matters, giving him deep insight into its operations. However, while working for the cartel, he secretly provided information to U.S. law enforcement agencies, including the DEA. His cooperation was a significant betrayal in the eyes of the cartel and marked him as a target for retribution. Guerrero Chapa moved to the United States with his family, seeking refuge from the violence of the cartel world. He settled in Southlake, Texas, a suburban area where he lived a seemingly quiet life. But his past caught up with him. On May 22, 2013, Guerrero Chapa was murdered in a meticulously planned attack. He was followed by assassins while shopping in a local mall and was shot multiple times in his vehicle. The murder was carried out with precision, reflecting the cartel's far-reaching influence and ability to carry out assassinations on foreign soil. The investigation into his death revealed the extent of cartel retribution. Authorities believed his murder was ordered by cartel members who discovered his role as an informant. Informants in Chicago's Sinaloa cartel. In Chicago, this significant case involving the Sinaloa cartel revealed the risks and rewards of becoming an informant. Two former operatives of the cartel played a key role in the case by providing testimony against their former organization. Their cooperation came at a high cost, as turning against the cartel meant risking their lives and the safety of their families. These individuals were involved in the transportation and distribution of large quantities of drugs in the United States. They provided detailed accounts of the cartel's operations, including how drugs were smuggled across the border and distributed in major cities like Chicago. Their information was instrumental in securing convictions against several high-ranking cartel members. In recognition of their cooperation, both informants received reduced prison sentences. One received a sentence of 10 years instead of 25, while the other was sentenced to 12 years instead of 30. Cowboy Cartel. Tyler Graham, an heir to a Texas horse racing empire, became an unlikely informant in a case involving the Los Zetas cartel. Graham, who grew up around quarter horse racing, inherited a family business that was deeply connected to the sport. Unbeknownst to him, the Los Zetas cartel had been using horse racing as a means to launder money from their drug operations. The FBI's Cowboy Cartel investigation uncovered how the cartel purchased and raced high-value horses to clean their illegal profits. Graham's cooperation began when federal agents approached him with evidence linking his business to the cartel's operations. At first, he was unaware of the extent of the cartel's involvement, but he agreed to work with law to uncover the full scale of the money laundering scheme. Graham provided vital information about the racing transactions, including details of horse purchases, financial transfers, and races that were fixed for profit. His cooperation helped authorities build a strong case against key figures in the cartel. As a result of his assistance, several arrests were made, and millions of dollars in assets were seized, including horses and ranch properties. Although Graham was not directly involved in criminal activities, his unintentional connection to the cartel brought immense scrutiny to his family's business. Chalino Sanchez. Chalino Sanchez was born on August 30, 1960 in Sinaloa, Mexico. He became famous for his narco-corridos, a genre of music that tells stories about drug lords, criminals, and life in Mexico's underworld. Chalino's songs resonated with many because they were raw, honest, and deeply connected to the struggles of everyday people. But his fame came with danger, as his music often touched on sensitive topics involving powerful cartels. On May 16, 1992, Chalino performed at a concert in Culiacan, Sinaloa. During the show, he received a note containing a death threat. Witnesses later recalled seeing his nervous reaction, but he continued the performance as if nothing had happened. The following day, while traveling with his entourage, Chalino was stopped by men dressed as police officers. He was forced into a vehicle and taken away. Hours later, his lifeless body was found with 2 gunshot wounds to the head. His murder shocked fans and highlighted the extreme risks faced by artists who were perceived as threats or informants. Chilino's death is surrounded by mystery, with many speculating that his songs or connections to certain individuals may have angered a cartel. Fabio Ochoa Vasquez. This guy was a prominent member of the infamous Medellin cartel. Alongside his brothers, Jorge Luis and Juan David, Fabio played a significant role in the cartel's operations, which included the production and distribution of cocaine. The Medellin cartel, led by Pablo Escobar, was responsible for smuggling massive quantities of drugs into the United States during the 1980s and early 1990s. In the early 1990s, as law enforcement intensified efforts against the cartel, Fabio decided to cooperate with the US DEA. His cooperation included providing crucial information about the cartel's smuggling routes, safe houses, and financial operations. This information led to significant drug seizures and the arrests of key cartel members. Fabio's decision to inform was seen as a major blow to the Medellin cartel, which was already under pressure from Colombian and US authorities. Fabio was eventually extradited to the United States, where he faced charges related to drug trafficking and money laundering. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison, but was released after serving 16 years due to good behavior and cooperation. In 2006, Fabio was deported to Colombia, where he reportedly resumed a quiet life away from the criminal world. Enrique Camarena, Enrique Kiki. Camarena was a special agent for the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. He was born on July 26, 1947, in Mexicali, Mexico, and later moved to California with his family. Kiki became a police officer before joining the DEA in 1974, where he focused on stopping drug trafficking. He worked in Guadalajara, Mexico, to investigate drug cartels that were growing rapidly during the 1980s. Kiki discovered a massive marijuana plantation worth billions of dollars, and this led to a significant operation that destroyed the fields. The drug cartels were furious about the loss and began targeting Kiki. In February 1985, he was kidnapped by cartel members in broad daylight. They held him captive for more than 30 hours, during which he was tortured and interrogated. His captors believed he was leaking cartel secrets to US officials. Eventually, Kiki was killed, and his body was found a month later. And that's it for today's episode. Don't forget to give this video a like, smash that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell for more upcoming uploads.